Welcome to the first 2018-2019 LA City basketball video. Connor Morissette and Alex Scar. Alex, we're still in football mode, but basketball has started up, and it's going to be really exciting for city teams this year because there's a lot of talent.
Yeah, I think the parity might be the best here in basketball season. Football season, kind of a foregone conclusion who we think is going to win. Basketball, it's going to be a great toss-up. A bunch of good teams. A bunch of teams are going to fluctuate in our top 10. It's going to be so much fun.
Last year, Alex, we saw Westchester beat Fairfax for the Open Division Championship in D1. Washington won. They have bigger aspirations this year. View Park from Division 1 went on to win a state championship. And then from there, Van Nuys loses in a classic game to King Drew. Both those teams are going to be back in D3 Southeast. Despite winning Division 3, Southeast stays in Division 3. So last year was a lot of fun, and a lot of guys return, but just wanted to kind of refresh people's minds on what went down a year ago.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun last year. We saw a lot of teams make a nice run there in the state playoffs. You talked about View Park winning a state championship. Fairfax upset Mater Dei in the first round. So a ton of really good basketball teams here in this city section. I can't wait.
Before we get to our top 10, let's get to some teams that are on the outside looking in who will have shots to move in. Alex, I know you have a couple teams you want to talk about. First, let's start with University, though. They're not in our top 10, but David Cheatham returns, and they did lose some guys from last year. Dyson Hughes comes to mind. But David Cheatham might have been the best player on that team a year ago, and he's back. He's a junior. I think Uni goes as far as he takes him.
Yeah, fantastic start here for him already. He's got a couple of double-doubles in preseason tournaments. Uni's not going to stay down for long. We thought they would win D1. Didn't quite get there, losing to Washington Prep, but a fantastic program over there. And a couple of teams that also missed the cut for me, Crenshaw. They lost Dominique Winbush. He transfers to Taft. Then they lose a couple more starters. Looks like a rebuilding year here for the Cougars. They can prove us wrong. They had a couple of really good early preseason games for us to kind of take an extra look at them. But for now, I think Crenshaw just misses our cut. And then El Camino Real, a really darling program last year. Eddie Egan was really one of the best players here in the city. He moves on to the next level, playing at Montana. They lose him and 9 other seniors. So for that reason, it's really tough to replace all those seniors, all those starters. So El Camino Real may be another retooling year for them, but we're going to see these teams crop up pretty soon.
Another team on the outside looking in, it's Palisades. They beat Dorsey in the first round of the D1 playoffs a year ago and then fell to View Park. But Nick Krikorian, the sharpshooter for them, is back. Will Janae, the football star, will also be playing hoops again. So they return some guys, and I don't think they're going to be an open division team this year, but I think they have a good chance to make some noise in Division 1. King Drew, the D2 champs from last year, they returned Fidelis Okirike, who might just be the best big man in the city.
Yeah, I remember covering him against the game in San Pedro. He had one of his first dunks as a young kid. He was only a sophomore. The whole bench went nuts. He's going to be a problem for teams to guard, so can't wait to see what King Drew has.
Yeah, Ethelbert Anam has moved on, who hit that fantastic game-winning shot in the championship against Van Nuys, but Fidelis is back. For Grant, Eric Pinosian is a three-point shooting threat in the East Valley League. Grant, I think, is probably the best team in that league, and Pinosian might be the best player, so look out for Grant this year.
Yeah, some of these teams that don't really make a whole lot of noise in football or baseball, basketball, like we talked about, that parity, a lot of good teams. Watch out for Grant and some other teams.
And then finally, Southeast. Michael Ibarra was the best player, not in Division 1, or probably the second or third best. I should take that back last year because King Drew and Tyree Winborn over at Van Nuys were really good. But this year, it's his title regardless. I think he's in Division 3 with Southeast, but he is a great player. He's a forward who can shoot the three, can drive as well. I'm excited to see what he can do. And if you could bet on high school sports, I don't know who would take this bet, but bet that Southeast will win Division 3 because they won it last year. They return everyone.
Yeah, and they didn't move up.
Yeah, and they didn't move up. So they have a really, really good shot to win it again. I think they will do that.
Yeah, in the Redondo Union tournament, they played
and they're challenging
Birmingham.
themselves against Bishop Montgomery.
Yeah, really playing some
Look
tough
at Southeast.
teams. Yeah, Southeast really representing D3. They're off to a really good start. They're looking good. This is definitely a team, like we talked about, maybe overlooked in some of these other sports. Basketball, man, it's going to be a good time.
Let's get into the top 10. At 10, we have Narbonne. Like a lot of these other teams, they've lost just about everyone, but Joseph Escalante returns. He is a sharpshooter for Narbonne, and the Marine League is down. Washington Prep is in a different league this year, so it's still Narbonne's to lose. Anthony Hilliard, the coach over there at the Bon, he will get his guys ready to go, and they'll do well in the Marine League, but it's too bad Washington Prep moved on because they would have been the best team in that league this year. Narbonne at 10.
Yeah, and Narbonne, they get to kind of reap the benefits of a team leaving. They get to be the best team there now. And remember, Narbonne, they were upset by Granada Hills in the Open Division playoffs last year. That's definitely still sticking with them. Narbonne, they lose Malik Mohammed, one of the better players there in the city, but I think they're retooling. Narbonne at 10.
Look out for Gardena in the Marine League as well. At 9, View Park won the D4 state title a year ago. And Christian Johnson, we've seen so much from the sophomore. He was the freshman who led him last year, sophomore this year. This offseason, he's been playing really well in just about every game that we've seen him. So Christian Johnson at View Park, he's probably the best sophomore, if not the best, one of the very best sophomores in the city. I think he's going to take View Park pretty far. And the Coliseum League this year is loaded with Fremont as well as Dorsey. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, the Coliseum League really showing up here in our top 10. You talked about Fremont, Dorsey, now View Park. That might be one of the most competitive leagues, at least for the league title here we're going to see in LA.
At number 8, Granada Hills, you mentioned how they knocked off Narbonne last year in the Open Division. Don Lopereno was the coach of the year.
Deservedly so.
Yeah, anytime you have a fantastic coach, you're always going to have a chance. Jesse Benute returns, a good guard for them. But they had some players move on as well, so they're 8. We'll see how things shake out when they play El Camino Real in the West Valley League. Who is going to be after Taft in that league? It's up in the air right now.
Yeah, I think so. Granada Hills are kind of a small ball team. They press in the half court. Really good defensive team and a really good sharpshooting team. Went 19-12 last year. Kind of surprised the city. Snuck into that Open Division. Took out Narbonne right away. Really, really impressive year there for Granada Hills, and they're sitting at 8.
At 7, Dorsey. I'm expecting to see bigger things from Dorsey this year. Last year they were really young. This year they're still young, led by sophomore Reese Dixon, but they have some good freshmen coming in. I think a year with a new coach under their belt is going to help them. Look for them to make some noise in that Coliseum League, but I still think in terms of the Open Division, maybe they'll slide into that 7 or 8 spot. Might be a D1 team again. They have some talent, though.
Yeah, when I was taking a look at Dorsey, I thought, all right, no roster on Max Preps. They had a first-round exit against Palisades last year. They went 14-15. Okay, they're at 7. Connor, what do you have to say about that? But he says there's some really, really good young players there for the Dons, and that can make all the difference. Basketball is a different thing than football. If you have 1 or 2 guys, that can be all you need. You don't really need that deep 50-man team to really kind of prove that you're better than another team. A couple guys there for Dorsey, they can make some real noise.
At 6, we have Fremont, and Fremont, it might be what Dorsey wants to be in a couple years this year. Fremont had a good year last year, returned a lot of guys. Roy Clark is one of the top guards in the city. Carey Page is a great player as well. They have a legitimate chance to win the Coliseum League this year after Crenshaw dominated a year ago. I think that Fremont is one of the most improved teams in the city this year, and they're going to be frustrated with how last year finished, losing in the playoffs. They're going to want to come back and have a big year, and I think they will.
Yeah, I think they lost to Venice in that round, or Division I round. Really disappointing way for them. But as you mentioned, they return everybody. They got Roy Clark, Carey Page. Can't forget about Chris Page. So they got a bunch of guys all over 6 feet tall, going to be really tough to guard. A lot of length there for Fremont. So they're going to be a really difficult team to try to guard on the edge. Went 22-9 last year. Good team.
At number 5, Washington Prep, and this might be a team who we've underrated a little bit because they return 4 fantastic players. And when you put all those guards around Deshaun Johnson, who's transferred into the program, he's a legitimate big man for them. Hanson Clark, the guard, Bilal Mike, Noel Scott, Hassan Huey. Those guys were all on the D1 championship team last year. Adding Johnson into that mix, they are a dangerous team in Southern California and will be in the Open Division for sure.
Yeah, in that Redondo Union tournament, they got St. Anthony, and they beat him 56-49. St. Anthony's a really, really good Southern Section team. Watch out for Washington Prep. Baseball, they don't really have a team. Football, they moved leagues, didn't really have much of a team. Basketball, they've really, really been a very good team, and kind of historically in LA City. Clipper Darrell's one of the big fans, so they got a lot of celebrities sitting courtside at those Wash House basketball games. No surprise if they creep up to 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah, 1 D1 last year. They want to make a run in the Open Division this year, and they believe they will. Head coach Javante King does a great job. Look for Washington to have a huge year this year. At 4, Birmingham. Lots of transfers. So we saw in the first round of the Pac Shores tournament, they lost a game. I'm going to give them a couple weeks to try to figure everything out. Tajay Medley and Corey Cofield are great guards for them. And like I said, just give them some time. I think they'll figure it out.
Yeah, they went 15-15 last year. And let's look at some of their losses. They lost to Centennial, Santa Margarita, Long Beach Poly, Bishop Gorman, and Fairfax. Some of the best teams in Southern California. They were a really good team. And I think next year or this year, they're really going to kind of turn it into form. In that 70-63 win in the Pac Shores tournament over Southeast.
Yeah, they beat Southeast.
You talked about Corey Cofield having a real big game. David Elliott, Tyrese Wyndham. All these guys were in double digits, had double figures, and they went over Southeast. Good team.
I think the game before they fell to Redondo and then came back with a win against Southeast. At number 3, Taft. They're a dark horse open division title contender for me. I saw them play at Harbor College against Santa Monica, and I was really impressed with them. The starting five is going to be Brendan Wilson, Dom Winbush, the Crenshaw transfer, Demetrius Caleb, Khalil Haywood, and then a big man who's transferred in from Golden Valley, Stefan Allah. That's a really, really good five. The problem with Taft is they don't really have too many guys coming off the bench. So we'll see how that affects them. But they can shoot. They got a good post game with Allah. And Winbush is a fantastic point guard. He's going to free up a lot of shots for Caleb, who might be the best shooter in the city.
Yeah, we talked about them a lot last year. They went 27-10. Kihei Clark went on to play at University of Virginia for Tony Bennett. He's already utilizing Kihei's defensive skills, and that offense really kind of hums through a good pass-first kind of offense. He talks about Caleb being one of the best shooters here in the city section. Not be surprised at all if Taft really challenges some of these top teams.
Derek Taylor, a great coach for them as well. I'm excited to see what Taft basketball has this year. And then 2-1, like it is most years. We got Fairfax at 2, Ethan Anderson, Robert McRae, and then the Culver City transfer, Keith Dinwiddie. That's as good of a top 3 guards as you'll see in the city. Get ready, if you're playing them, to break the press because they don't have too much size. They're going to try to speed up the game, get the ball in the hands of their guards, and press the absolute crap out of you this year. That's what Steve Bake has said, and that's how they've played this year.
Yeah, when I watched Ethan Anderson last year, I thought this kid is one of the best finishers, if not the best finisher
for sure.
in the city section, and now he's back for his senior year. He might take home LA City Player of the Year honors. Of course, there's some other guys in the running, but he's going to be a really, really tough guy to guard. Fairfax, definitely a problem.
Who won the LA City Player of the Year last year? KJ Allen, who's back for a 5th year at Westchester. It's KJ Allen. And when you can return a guy like that, you're obviously going to be good. But Westchester returned some other guys as well. Jeremiah Turley, Kevin Bethel, Kamani Pollard, Jordan Brinson, who was marred with injuries last year. He should be fully healthy. And we didn't really even see his full potential a year ago. I think this year it's going to be a huge breakout year for him. And then Kayvon Baptiste, the backup big man for Westchester, is also a really good player. And that roster, that's a top team in the city right now.
When you've got a legendary coach like Ed Azam, and then you've got KJ Allen, returning player of the year, and you went 30-6 the year before, this is going to be a really, really good team, really difficult team. Some of these Southern Section teams are going to have to game plan for Westchester because they're going to be one of the toughest teams they face, kind of flipping the script from football. This basketball team is going to be really, really tough.
Westchester will remember what happened to them last year in the state playoffs, getting upset at home against Etiwanda. They're going to want revenge this year, and of course, that's a long way away. Got to win the city again. Looks like they have a good chance to do just that. So there's the first video of the year in basketball. We'll have these once a week once football ends. I'm Connor Morissette. He's Alex Garr. See you next time.